My vengeance ends now.
Hey, what's up? We're in what appears to be Hades, checking out God of War 3. Game's almost out, so that means it's time to talk to the people who made it. First up, I have gone straight to the big cheese. Sir, you are John Haidt. You are the Director of Product Development. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Don't call me the big cheese in front of Zeus.
That's true, yeah. We got to remember.
Call Kratos back over here.
Present company accepted.
Take care of him, but yeah, he's relegated to statue down.
Right. How much money does it take to make a game like this?
Well, it's funny you should ask. We are stamping discs now, so we're effectively done. Just got a couple of countries that we're finishing up on this week, and we've spent $44 million to make God of War 3.
All right, there you have it. That's what it takes.
And believe it or not, that's right within budget.
Just in case you were wondering why your great idea is not currently being made into a video game, there you go. So, first time out on the PS3 for God of War. Can you tell us what was the kind of ramp up in team size? I mean, how many people did you have to pile on just to kind of do all the art in this game and get it up and running?
Yeah, well, that was kind of the shocker for us. We finished up God of War 2 with roughly 60 people, in the studio, which was more than double God of War 1. Now we finished off God of War 3 with 132 people.
Wow.
The biggest area that we grew is graphics on the art side. Doing things in high res, and all the movies, everything is done using the same graphic assets. So
all in real time, right?
Super high quality, all real time. And that required a fairly significant investment in artists, doing artwork, and a lot of, everything in the game, is pretty high poly.
It took you guys 3 years to get this one out the door. Are we going to see another God of War game on the PS3, or is that just way off in the future?
Well, we hope to have another game out on the PS3, and so it's our goal, of course, to take this investment in technology and show it off for the next game.
Okay, so maybe now that you've got the kind of technology platform established, it might not take as much effort on that side to get another one done? Or?
I don't want to make any commitments as far as
Sure.
when we'll see another God of War game.
Yeah,
I mean, we're also capable of doing other
Sure.
IP,
Yeah.
and that's something that we may be exercising in the next couple months, next year.
Okay.
As far as exploring different things.
Sure.
But yeah, we're going to try and get another game out on the PS3 for
Very
sure.
cool. All right, now I've got Chris Sutton, the lead environment artist on God of War 3. So you guys have put a lid on this thing. How are you feeling, sir? Are you breathing a sigh of relief?
Yeah, we're feeling great. We're just happy it's done, and most importantly, we're happy with the game.
Very cool. So having moved to this new hardware, can you give us just kind of a nuts and bolts idea of how you've been able to expand the environmental art, just, in terms of like polygons and environmental effects and the amount of kind of geography you're cramming into memory at one time? Has that really kind of exponentially increased?
Yeah, it's just like some of our characters take up more than everything that was loaded before, like on the PS2.
Oh.
So it opened up a lot of opportunities for us to, push more polygons. Definitely, we have a lot more VRAM, so we can put a lot more textures in the scene, which allows us to really kind of define, stone should look like stone, metal should look like metal. And then also we've just we've got a pretty cool lighting system. We can do a lot of dynamic lights, and so we try to make sure the fire lights are animating. And so we're finally able to kind of realize the God of War universe in the, kind of the resolution we wanted to.
I've seen some really crazy stuff with like the camera moves. You're pulling camera like what seems like a mile out and then back down on the action. As an environment artist, is that extra challenging, having these ridiculous camera moves and then having to like plan and make sure you've like created environment over here and over here?
Yeah, I mean, I love that we're doing that and making the cameras so dynamic, but I'm constantly battling with the camera guys because they'll go and they're like doing this cool camera. I was like, yeah, it's cool. It's whatever's the coolest we kind of try to make happen. So if I from an environment side can accommodate the camera guys, I'll do that.
So they do have some respect for how difficult they're making your life?
No, none at all. Absolutely not.
Yeah. All right, here he is, the man of the hour, the director of God of War 3, Stig Asmussen. Sir, thank you for taking some time to talk to us.
Thank you.
So you have stepped into the directorial role on God of War 3. This is your first time in that position. You've had a couple of illustrious predecessors, David Jaffe and then Corey Barlog. So as the director for the first time on this franchise, did you feel a lot of kind of pressure from the fan base or sort of a responsibility to them to kind of meet their expectations, or how did you approach taking the reins?
There certainly wasn't any pressure from the fan base. I think that one of the nice things is that the the God of War fan base is about as loyal as you can possibly get. I think most of the pressure that we as a team kind of inflict on ourselves is our own pressure, and that's kind of, I think, is a main ingredient for our success in the past.
You've got a franchise like this that has mechanics that are very kind of entrenched at this point. There's a certain expectation on the part of the fans. So when you're making the third game in this series, I imagine kind of a slider between, one end is, just sort of fulfilling exactly what they expect, and the other end is sort of taking it off in this radical new direction.
Making a first-person shooter.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Like turn it into Kratos kart racing or whatever. I mean,
right. That's the one I usually say.
Oh, man. I thought I was all original with that. But, I mean, where on that slider did you guys kind of land on this game? Like, were you trying to keep it faithful to what's happened before?
The important thing is that you evolve it. It's that, wow, you pick it up. Yes, this is Kratos. Oh, wow, I can do this now. Wow, I can do that. Hey, that feels better than it used to. Oh, man, I can't believe that, you can actually, pick up a guy and do that. Why didn't you do that in the past? Things like that. And it's not just the controls. It's things like the cameras. How does the camera respond to Kratos? How are we viewing him? How are we viewing him during the action? How are we viewing him when we're going through a corridor? When we're on top of a mountain, when we're on a Titan? It's such an important part of the gameplay is what the camera's doing. So I think the key word is evolving.
I just finished playing through Heavy Rain, and I don't know if you've gotten a chance to play it.
I've not played it yet.
They do some interesting stuff with their QuickTime events.
I've heard about the ones that, you got to get your hands and all sorts of controlling positions and
but
stuff.
In terms of the flow and the kind of the progression of the QuickTime events, it's an interesting thing they do is they kind of let your failures in terms of just hitting specific buttons. They let the failure at that kind of play into how the sequence
branching
of events.
minigames.
Yeah, essentially it's a branching QuickTime event. Did you guys do anything like that with this one, or have you thought about that, or have you kind of
Yeah,
stuck to...
well, we did do a branching minigame, and it didn't make it into the game.
No.
And one of the things that we found out is that we want, at least with our game, is that it's meant to be played in a certain way, and the story's meant to be told in a certain way, and it's designed a certain way. Anytime we diverge off of that, it waters down the quality of that main course. So those are always the first things. If we need to funnel more people onto this certain experience in the game that's lagging behind, that's really important, all right, we're going to have to cut these kind of divergent things, and that's one of the things that got cut.
Having had two games come before, and now being on the third one, did you have to dig into the kind of some of the more obscure aspects of Greek mythology to find kind of some new monsters and new stuff to show to people, or did you feel like you kind of had the ideas in mind as you went in of what aspects of that mythology to show?
Well, I think the first thing that we do is we try to come up with something that will be fun and not necessarily following any certain types of mythology or anything like that. And then we kind of dig into mythology and we can see if we can find something that matches that. Sometimes there'll be something so iconic like the Colossus or something like that. It's well, we got to figure out a way to make this work, and that's not really that hard. It's a giant statue possessed by a god. I mean, it's pretty cool. But we pick and choose at it where it fits our needs, and we turn it up on its head more often than not.
So this is basically the end of kind of a 3-game arc for Kratos. This is sort of the end of the initial God of War trilogy. Is this the last we're going to see of that character? Or is this story kind of wrapped up with a tidy little bow? Or, do you see kind of a future for him in the God of War series?
I'd say it's wrapped up in a tidy little bow, but doesn't mean that we'll never see him again. There's clever ways, creative ways that we could bring him around. But I don't have any idea what that's going to be and if that's going to be. I just kind of, at this point right now, I'm going to take a God of War nap for a little while.
Let's be glad this one's done and step back a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I guess I probably shouldn't ask if you see any room for kind of other God of War games with other characters
well,
as
absolutely.
the focus. Or?
Absolutely there is. There's all sorts of neat things that you can do with this franchise and with the stories and the characters and the personalities. But, are there any plans right now? No.
For your sake, I hope it's a while before you ship another game.
Cool.
Because it seems like you could use a little time off.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I'm going to let you get on to that. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you.
And congrats on getting the game out the door.
Cool. Thanks,
Cool.
man.
Thanks.